Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we watched 3 more episodes of Season 3 of The Muppet Show that aired between November 23rd, 1978 and December 7th, 1978. And those are the episodes featuring guests Kris Kristofferson and Rita Coolidge, Raquel Welch, and Leo Sayer. It is also worth noting that this is the same chunk of time as the 2 Sesame Street Christmas episodes that we talked about previously. Yeah, so if you want to hear us talk about those things that happened, again, during this same chunk of time as these episodes were airing, go back to episode 38, where we talked about them already in our Christmas special.
Yeah, or wait till next Christmas, because, they're festive episodes. It'll be more fun that way.
Curl up by the fire, roast your chestnuts.
Yeah, one of these episodes aired on Thanksgiving Day in 1978. Made me nostalgic for the holiday season. You don't want to do that to yourself.
We're in that weird mid-January time where there's not, any family gatherings for the holidays or anything going on. We got Valentine's Day coming up.
Do you do Valentine's Day?
We do.
Of course you do. Of course you do. You're a
Wow.
big sweetie.
I am. Just a big old sweetums. But while it may not really be a holiday season anymore, Sam, you know what it is? It's awards season, baby.
I knew you were going to say it, but I wasn't sure enough to say it before you said it.
There's a couple of awards shows happening right around this time of year. One is the Oscars, and people have been pushing for the Muppets to host the Oscars this year, Sam.
Never going to happen.
You don't think so?
Not in a million years.
Why not?
They don't have time to get it all together, do
what
they?
What else are they doing?
I don't know. So the Oscars asked in a tweet, purely hypothetically, or whatever, just asking for a friend, who would you like to host the Oscars? Which I guess does imply that they're waiting till the last minute to plan this damn thing. Because isn't it in the next couple, February sometime?
I believe so. So yeah, I don't think they have enough time to really hire a new host and do a lot of changes to their plans.
Yeah.
Which does make me believe that if it ended up being the Muppets, they would not be able to fully rewrite a show or redo sets to make it work for Muppets. They're probably planning on it being a human. So yeah, it's a weird move, and I don't know if it was just them trying to get people talking about the Oscars.
Uh-huh.
But it worked, and a lot of people are hoping the Muppets will do it, and it would be pretty not easy as far as writing and staging goes, but
right.
The Oscars are on ABC, which is owned by Disney.
I feel like you have this many people, so you ask who should host the Oscars, and then people are like, this person. I bet they already know who's going to host the Oscars, right? So all they're doing is setting people up to be sad. So now they have to at least have the Muppets on as a cameo, I would say.
It's sort of like when back in the day, people were campaigning for Cookie Monster to host SNL.
Right.
And so he just did a little cameo spot that they'll be like, yeah, we're going to throw you a bone.
It won't be satisfying to us, but we'll still eat it up because we're little worms. Do you think it could actually happen that they host the Oscars?
I don't feel like it could happen this year unless they were already planning that and knew this is what people were going to want, because people have talked about this in the past, that the Muppets should host the Oscars. So unless they were already planning that, I don't think it's happening this year.
But there's no other indication that the Muppets are hosting aside from people saying we want the Muppets to host, right?
I don't believe so. I don't think the Oscars have teased anything. So it'll probably just be Billy Crystal or something, and everyone's gonna be like, "Boo, Billy Crystal!"
You're getting my hopes up, though.
I mean, it would be really cool. I think it would be great. You could have so many Muppets appearing. You could have the Electric Mayhem playing music throughout the night. You could just
that would be cute.
Yeah, you could have Ralph perform one of the best song nominees.
You could have it be like a episode, like a 4-hour-long episode of the Muppet Show too. There could be little backstage sketches where it's they say, Scooter would say, 15 seconds of curtain, Timothy Chalamet, and then Timothy Chalamet would say I've heard of Lady Bird, but this is ridiculous. And then a bird with a bra on would be there with him or something.
I mean,
So
I'm
that's
on board.
easy as that.
Yeah, it sounds great.
I think we could write the Oscar show before airtime, probably. If we
better
got
start
cracking
now.
right now. Yeah.
But there is another awards ceremony that it would be odd if we didn't discuss, Sam, because we were extremely nominated in the Muppet Twitter Awards this year.
Heavily nominated.
Heavily, actually, the most nominated podcast out of that award ceremony.
So you'd think our mantles were sagging with awards, with Muppies weighing them down.
We had a total of 6 nominations, including Best Muppet Podcast, Best Podcast Hosts, and we were both individually nominated for Most Affection Towards a Muppet or Muppet Performer, or Best Affection Towards a Muppet or Muppet Performer.
Oh, yeah, we were both in that category, right?
Yeah. I was nominated
Competing.
for my love of Carol Spinney, which I think was, somebody probably nominated me because of my Halloween costume. And then you were nominated for your love towards Rolf's nose.
Yeah. Give it a little bite. I didn't even think of what would happen if you had won and I didn't. I'd be sad.
I mean, well, don't have to worry about that, Sam, because neither of us won anything.
Yeah, what the hell?
We were nominated for 6 awards. We won 0. It's fine. It was a voting thing, and we didn't do a huge push to encourage people to vote. So
I retweeted it once.
That's the definition of huge push.
That usually works.
But yes, we did not win. But we did present some awards.
Yes,
I
we
presented
did.
the Best Muppet Production of the Year, which went to Muppet's Haunted Mansion. And you presented the Best Muppet of the Year?
Muppet of the Year, yeah. Which went to Gonzo. But thank you for nominating us. It was an honor to be nominated. And it was really fun, too. It's all recorded. I think you can listen to it somewhere on the Muppet No Context Twitter. Probably you could figure it out from there.
Yeah, if you go to @MuppetNo is the Twitter account. They're the ones who hosted the awards. And so, yeah, I don't know how long spaces last for you to listen to. I think it's maybe like a month or 2. But you can go listen to them there. It was only like an hour long. And yeah, I really don't know how spaces work. So I don't know if that's a thing that you can
No, I was scared
pause,
the whole
fast
time I was
forward,
going to
or-
screw it up.
Oh, yeah. When it was my turn to present, I was just, here by myself talking into the void. And I'm like, dear God, I hope someone can hear me.
It's so weird. And then every other presenter screwed up. So it was like, I'm definitely going to screw up. But me and Matt are professionals and we didn't screw up. But it was really cool to hear people from other Muppet podcasts and Muppet artists and kind of in one place. And there was kind of a cool, fun turnout. And I had a good time.
Yeah, we got to hear from some of the people from Muppetturgy and Tough Pigs and Muppet Fans Talking in a non-edited, chill hangout format, which is not the way I'm used to experiencing their voices.
Right.
And for me, one of the coolest parts of the night is that they had special guest Matt Danner, who is the voice of Baby Kermit on Muppet Babies, the current run of Muppet Babies on Disney. And he was reading out some of the nominees, and so we got to hear Baby Kermit say Kermitment.
Very exciting. It's
Very
worth
cool.
listening. That happens right at the beginning, too. So if you want to hear that, that's canon.
Yeah, Baby Kermit knows about Kermitment.
Yeah. Is Baby Kermit like Baby Mario in that they both exist at the same time?
I don't think so. I think it is understood that the Muppet Babies are the baby versions of the Muppets we know and love.
And it happens in the past.
Yes.
Or the Muppet Show happens in the future. Who knows?
Yes, because I think once we get to the 80s Muppet Babies, I think that one and the current one are a little different in the way they deal with storylines and time, obviously.
Right.
But I know in both of them, Statler and Waldorf appear as slightly younger versions of themselves and friends of the family, kind of weird Uncle Statler Waldorf characters.
Yeah. They're like, we're going to be really mean to you someday, but for now, we love you.
Yeah, I won't pick on you yet, but in the future, ooh, I tear you a new one, bear.
They're trying really hard not to boot Fozzie across the room.
But it is time now to talk about the things that we came here to talk about today, and that is some episodes of The Muppet Show. So, Sam, tell the people what we watched.
November 23rd, 1978, Thanksgiving Day, As you digest your turkey and jello salad, you flip on the tube to check out Kris Kristofferson and Rita Coolidge on The Muppet Show. Why two guests? Well, Rita and Kris were married at this time and also an established singing duo, and they had put out a bunch of albums together in the 70s, so they were a group act. Anyway, apropos of the Thanksgiving release date, a lot of what little plot there is in this episode revolves around the cantina, in which various characters order wacky foods, stuff like that. You can probably imagine what's going on. Like Animal gets a TV dinner and it's a big TV and he eats the TV. But Gonzo is one of those characters and he orders some soup and a chicken for company, of course, not to eat, which Gladys puts on his tab before realizing that his next act is the potentially fatal piano balancing act. So she demands that Gonzo pays him right away, and then he goes off to do his act, which ends, obviously, in massive amounts of pain for Gonzo. And he comes away from that act thinking that people probably believe him to be dead, so he starts passing out his autograph to everyone backstage, telling them that they will be worth a fortune after his tragic death. Highlights here include the piano balancing act, which got a good chuckle out of me because he does math on his fingers, and I have to do math on my fingers, so I was like, yes, Gonzo, we're the same, you and I. And it also looks really cool. There's just like a big piano, and Gonzo's holding it up. Another highlight was a Rolf and Fozzie sketch that we already saw, so that kind of maybe tells you what I thought about the episode. Also of note to me was seeing the pure hatred coming out of Kris Kristofferson's eyes whenever he looked at a Muppet. Kris Kristofferson is a very prolific household name level singer and songwriter. He was part of the Outlaw movement in Nashville, which was like a anti-Nashville establishment musical movement that he was in, along with like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, who he also wrote songs for. At the time of this episode, he and Rita Coolidge had put out a bunch of records, like I said, and all the songs that they sing in this episode were big hits for either one or both of them. Kris Kristofferson's Wikipedia page is really long, but I think he's like a genius. He went to Oxford as a Rhodes Scholar, which I thought was really interesting. And then he was like a helicopter pilot, and then
yeah, I feel like he's always, in my knowledge of country music, he's sort of the least appreciated member of all of the groups he's ever been a part of. He's always hanging out with Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings and Willie Nelson and all these like people who everyone knows. Yeah. And he's like also there and contributing a lot, but people don't reference him nearly as much as all those other guys. I know him more from, I feel like, movie appearances.
Like Blade.
And his like seeing his face. To me, I'm like, oh, it's that guy. Whereas, like, I could not name a single song that he has sung.
Yeah, it is probably worth mentioning that to people me and Matt's age. He was Whistler in Blade, which is probably, like, a very influential movie on us, I would guess, in some ways. Like, when I think of vampires, I think of them dancing in a nightclub with blood pouring down on top of them.
Was that there's a movie with Kris Kristofferson where he is sitting in a chair and blows up.
I think that's Blade 3, maybe.
Is that Blade 3?
Yeah. I think that's one where Whistler dies. Yeah,
I haven't watched Blade 3 since probably it was released on DVD. So I don't remember if that's in Blade 3 or if that was just another movie where he blows up on a chair.
Yeah. I also have seen Kris Kristofferson on a chair exploding, so I can only guess it was one of the Blade movies. Rita Coolidge is somebody that I wasn't really familiar with. I think her name sounded a little familiar, but I listened to her top Spotify song, and it's called We're All Alone, and I knew instantly what it was. If you listen to it, you'll know what it is. I don't know any of the lyrics to it, but it's like extremely smooth. And then I listened to some of her other songs, and they were also very smooth. She's like a yacht rocker almost, which I liked. She also wrote the theme for James Bond Octopussy. And it seems like she wrote and co-wrote a couple huge songs that became hits, like that song the Carpenters sang that says, "Don't you remember you told me you love me, baby?" You know that one?
That's
she
the one.
Like wrote that song or something, and she got screwed out of credit and money for it. There's another one that the same exact thing happened, and somebody told her, like, "You're a girl. You don't have the resources to stop me," is basically what this person, like, that's what it said in quotes on the wiki page that somebody told her. So, you know, cool stuff in the 70s and 60s. Anyway, Coolidge and Kristofferson met in 1970, got married in 1973, made a lot of records, made a child, won a Grammy, and got divorced in 1980. So, whirlwind romance, very productive. Next up, November 30th, 1978, you decorate your Christmas tree while keeping an eye on the on-screen antics of Raquel Welch on The Muppet Show. Raquel is on the show, and all the Muppets are very horny. But more importantly, Fozzie has been going to group therapy to learn to be more self-assured. So he tries out his new confidence by refusing to go on stage when Kermit tells him to, saying that he doesn't need to tell jokes to make friends anymore. But he quickly changes his tune when he hears the audience applauding. What they're actually applauding for is that he's not coming out, but he's like, oh, they love me. I need the love and attention. So he runs out. They've already put on the next act, which is at the dance, and he interrupts at the dance to do his routine, and it's another like mashup kind of thing. His confidence is again tested when Raquel finds him backstage and tells him that one of the main reasons she's doing the show is because she's always wanted to meet him. She sings him a very sexy song and invites him to her dressing room, at which point he panics and leaves, so no sex for Fozzie. Before the big finale, a jealous Piggy finally confronts Raquel Welch and then decides to crash the final song that she's, I guess, doing by herself. But it turns into a very congenial duet, and they come away from it friends, I feel like. Standouts here include the absolutely extreme levels of horniness emanating off of Kermit the entire time. I feel like he's like scrunched up and so excited she's there. And his voice squeaks at the beginning when he says her name too, which to me always indicates Kermit horniness.
That's how you can tell.
This episode also has a Fozzie-based storyline, which is usually always a slam dunk, I would say. And in this case also features, like I mentioned, an act mashup, which are also usually very great. And a talk spot, Matt's not going to like this, with none other than Marvin Suggs.
You might be surprised.
Which I fucking loved. I thought it was amazing. Raquel Welch is also fucking amazing in this episode. I think she loves the Muppets, unlike Kris Kristofferson, who wants them all to die. She seems to want to kiss them all in a very sweet way. So,
and even
Raquel
more so with Fozzie. She's full on.
She is rubbing Fozzie's face in her breasts the entire time.
She calls him sexational.
And she, I mean, literally propositions him to go up to her dressing room with him.
She says, come up to my dressing room for some tea. But the tone of her voice is very heavily implying that they would have sex.
Yeah, Fozzie can't handle it, though. He's
No.
a virgin. He stays a virgin until he meets that lady from Garfunkel and Oates in a couple decades.
Yeah, on the ABC series when he has a real human girlfriend.
Yeah, when he starts dating Ricky. So Raquel Welch, I'm just like a very short version of her career. She was a small-time actor in LA until she starred in this B movie called 1 Million Years BC, which there's a poster for in the background of this episode. It was in 1966. It was a caveman movie, and she wore an animal skin two-piece bikini. And this in the 60s made everyone so horny that she got to be a superstar for the rest of her life, which still continues to this day. And that's not trying to be reductive, because she's got star power, it turns out. She made like 1 billion more movies. She sings songs. She had TV specials. She was on an episode of Mork and Mindy, apparently, where she was a bounty hunter, which I would really like to see.
Yeah, that sounds great.
She was hunting down Mork. But she's also Raquel Welch. I think people still know who Raquel Welch is?
I don't know, because I feel like it is one of those names that is just, hey, that's a famous person in my head. And we saw her previously on SNL. There was an episode where King Plubis was rubbing up all over her.
I think, he like grabs her breast.
Yeah, we were not very keen on that appearance of Raquel Welch with the Muppets, because we were like, this seems like an excuse for Jim Henson to rub up on Raquel Welch.
Too crazy, Jim. Get back.
But thankfully they kept Kermit far from Raquel in this episode.
yeah, he was. He doesn't even get to interact with her, really.
No, he just talks about her from afar.
Yeah. He like looks appreciatively at her from across the screen, and his face gets all scrunched up. What a creep. And he continues to be a creep now. Finally, it's December 7th, 1978. Christmas is coming, the goose is getting fat, and odd little Australian man Leo Sayer is on the Muppet Show. This whole episode's backstage plot revolves around the introduction of Annie Sue, another lady pig singer who has recently joined the cast, apparently. Piggy despises her in no small part because Kermit seems to be skeezing on her hardcore, even kissing her on the cheek at one point. Sidebar here, Annie Sue is not a patch on Miss Piggy's ass, so there's that. But I do understand her concern, because Kermit is out of hand. Anyway, Piggy is mostly just rude to Annie Sue. She never punches her or anything. But the whole audience also loves Annie Sue, which makes Piggy so mad that at the end of the backstage plot, after the kiss that I mentioned earlier, she leaps from the backstage mezzanine mezzanine. Is that the word?
It is.
That's what that thing is, right? On to Kermit. What would that wrestling move be called? Just some kind of big slam?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really like a move. It's just a jump onto.
It's like a top turnbuckle kind of thing, right?
Yeah, but she doesn't like specifically use an elbow or a leg drop or anything. She's just jumping at her.
I bet she used an elbow. So she body slams Kermit from like a floor up, and then she like drop kicks him on the stage, which he deserves. Meanwhile, Leo Sayer is being incredibly weird and gyrating everywhere, and that's basically what he does the whole time. Standouts here, mostly the part where Miss Piggy jumps off of the balcony and destroys Kermit. That was my favorite part. I was also noticing a bunch of really great Frank puppeteering in this episode. Like there's a part where Miss Piggy gets out of a chair, and for some reason it was just like, whoa. How did you make her get out of a chair? That was amazing.
I also noticed that. There's a little moment where you can just see her body like move.
She like lunges forward and pushes herself out and stands up. And it's like, holy shit. So it kind of almost felt to me like Frank Oz was like, look here, Louise Gold. I'm the lady pig. Look how good I am at making her get out of a chair.
Well, and on top of that, it's worth noting that Annie Sue's big number in this episode was performed by Frank Oz.
It was?
Yeah, because Louise Gold did not. Muppet Wiki says it was Louise Gold's decision because she did not feel like a confident enough puppeteer to like pull off an entire dancing number.
Yeah.
And so she sang that number, and Frank Oz lip synced, performed it to her recording.
That's very interesting. And I feel like Annie Sue in this episode did have some like eyeline trouble and stuff. And at first, so to be fair to her, to Louise Gold, Frank Oz has been doing this for like 20 years at this point, or more than that, or something like that.
Yeah, about 15, maybe 10.
I also think that puppet is not great. I feel like the Annie Sue puppet just kind of lifeless a little bit in a way. But I'm surprised that he did that, because that whole time I was like, this isn't that great. That her big act. The photocopy song or whatever, is that the one you're talking about?
Carbon paper, yeah.
Carbon paper song. Anyway, the standout bad stuff in this episode, all the Leo Sayer stuff. I just can't with that guy.
I can't put a finger on that guy. He is one person when he's singing and an entirely different person when he's just talking. Like, the fact that voice comes out of that man is perplexing to me.
His body language just really is like, it's so over the top, like theater kiddie to me also, that I'm just kind of like,
He also might be the new worst actor we have seen on the Muppet Show, like joining the ranks of, like the Elton Johns, the Rudolph Nureyevs. Like as far as like bad actors go on the Muppet Show, he's right near the bottom.
He's pretty bad. Kristofferson also was not great.
There's just one specific scene that we'll talk about with Leo Sayer that was just like, why does this happen?
A scene that would have been, I think I know the one you're talking about. That scene would have been great with like Raquel Welch, because she would have known how to play it.
Yeah.
And not like blown the gag right before it happened. It was so stupid. Anyway, I didn't write anything about Leo Sayer. He's an English Australian singer. We've already seen him before on Julie, My Favorite Things. Is that what he was on?
He was on the Julie One Step Into Spring special, where he performed the same song, the You Make Me Feel Like Dancing. And he also performed a duet with Julie Andrews in that. But he did not do much with the Muppets in that episode or in that special. But we will see him again. He will be on the Tonight Show episode that Kermit guest hosts.
Why do they love this guy so much?
He's zany. He's got Annie Sue hair.
Me feel like that's true. You make me feel like Dancing was popular like 4 years before this episode came out.
It's still a good song, Sam. It's been stuck in my head all week since I watched this episode.
I don't know. Oh, I forgot another standout bad moment. There's like a truly Twin Peaksian moment in this episode where like a doppelganger of Leo Sayer dressed like a clown comes out and is extremely creepy. That's all I got. I didn't look up any history or anything of this time period.
That's all right. We'll do our own little history of this 2-week period by going back to Thanksgiving 1978, which is when the Kristofferson and Rita Coolidge episode aired. Do we want to do our star ratings to top this off, Sam?
Sure.
Let me know what you thought of this episode before we start talking about it.
So for the Kristofferson, Rita Coolidge episode, 1 star.
Wow. That is... Wow. I don't think you've given anything 1 star.
I don't think...
Granted, we've only been doing this star rating system for like 2 weeks, but I don't think you've given anything 1 star so far.
I think in retrospect, there's a couple season 1 episodes I would have given 1 star to.
But we're not going back and rating every episode.
Yeah, maybe I will someday.
You can do that. I won't.
What'd you give it?
I said 2.
Okay.
There was a couple moments that almost brought it up to a 3 for me because there are some good moments in this episode, but overall, I think it falls into like a solid 2-star territory.
The guest stars were not doing themselves any favors in this one, I don't think.
No, and I think that's apparent right away. The opening number of this episode is Kris. I cannot say this man's name. I'm just going to say Kris.
I'll dub it in for you every time. Kristofferson.
Perfect. The opening number with Kris and Miss Piggy singing "Help Me Make It Through the Night." The entire time, he's laughing. He can't keep a straight face because he's dancing with a puppet.
He makes her seem like a puppet, which all by itself to me is like 1-star territory.
Yeah.
You don't treat Miss Piggy this way. He like smells her at one point.
Yeah, he's we see it a couple times when different guests will come on and they'll sort of manhandle the puppets in a way where you're like, okay, that's clearly you're showing that this is a puppet and you're not reacting as if it's just like another character you're interacting with. But yeah, the fact that he's like looking off camera and laughing when Miss Piggy is singing, I'm just like, dude, like, you know what you signed up for.
Yeah, you're supposed to pretend like she is a superstar. She's probably more famous than you are, you crumb bum.
So yeah, it does not start off on a high note, seeing this man have no respect for Miss Piggy. I would say what lifts this episode up a little bit for me is the gonzo of it all.
It's a good gonzo one, that's true.
Which we get to see right away. You mentioned he's in the canteen. And he gets to do his balancing piano act, which is great. And it leads to everyone possibly thinking he's dead. The one thing I liked before this in the canteen scene is we get to see some coworkers just having like water cooler talk. They're like hanging out, and one of the pigs comes up to Gonzo and is like, "Hey, buddy, I hear you're getting to do your balancing piano act finally."
Yeah, who is this guy?
I don't know, but I like him, and I like that.
I like him too.
There is this canteen now at the Muppet Show where the coworkers just get to hang out and relax and not always just focus on the show itself. But there's another thing that happens before the Gonzo sketch, which has happened a few times at this point, but we have not discussed it. And that is we hear a Frank Oz voiced, very Cookie Monster sounding stagehand from behind the curtain. This has happened a few times again at this point, including this batch. We've heard it 5 times now, where Kermit will say something about like the next act is ready to go, and you'll hear somebody from behind the curtain just say like, not ready yet. Yeah. And it's Frank Oz essentially just doing Cookie Monster. But this is a stagehand that we will never see. And unfortunately, we will only hear one more time.
In the Raquel Welch episode?
No, one more time, I believe, in the next batch of episodes.
Oh, after this batch of them?
Yeah.
He was very funny in the Raquel Welch episode. That was one of my biggest laughs in that one.
And this is, I don't know, I like this bit a lot, that there's an offstage stagehand that we never see.
Yeah. Who
sounds exactly like Cookie Monster. But it is a bummer that we don't, this is not a continuing gag.
I feel like that guy's definitely a pig, right? Like, I think all the stagehands seem like pigs to me.
Just like Scooter's commanding an army of pigs around him.
That's why it was so easy to overthrow the show, because they're the bourgeois. No, what's the opposite of that? They're the laboring class.
Yeah, it was an inside job. They just yeah. They're like, oh, we know the ins and outs of this thing. We can take this down, no problem.
Yeah, they seize the means of production. Now, how about this Muppet Labs? Truly a nightmare, in my opinion.
Bunsen Honeydew has decided that Beaker is a short, stubby person, which is,
I like that doesn't make Beaker insulted. He just looks off camera. He's like more scared than ever about what's going to happen to him, I feel like, when he says a short, stubby person.
Yeah. But he has invented atomic elevator shoes that is going to make Beaker grow taller and taller. And boy, does it, because it essentially makes Beaker's legs grow.
It doesn't lift his feet up. It makes his legs and socks stretch to horrific proportions.
Yeah, he's got some Incredible Hulk stretchy material socks happening here, where no matter how tall he gets, his socks continue to grow with him.
It's a good thing he wore those on this particular day.
I mean, I guess he probably has to always wear them. He's got to be on his toes, ready for anything.
That's
when he's coming to work with Bunsen.
But the scary part to me that I just couldn't help but think of the whole rest of the episode was that each of his legs falls in a different direction at the end.
They do. He has
what
split
happened
in
to
half.
him? He was ripped in twain.
I mean, maybe he went high enough that he reached a ceiling fan and it just
no.
ripped him right in half.
Oh, no. You don't see him the rest of these episodes either, so I can only assume as of right now he's dead.
They're patching him up. He'll be back soon.
Yeah.
It's also worth noting that in this batch, we do not see any pigs in space or veterinarian's hospital. That's one where you could have had veterinarian's hospital where there's like 2 halves of Beaker on either half of the bed and they're trying to patch them back together.
We don't need to see that.
Speaking of things we probably don't need to see, we have Wayne coming back. Sans Wanda.
Hell? What happened to her?
Maybe she also had a run-in with a ceiling fan.
Oh, no.
But Wayne is here to sing My Wild Irish Rose with a rose who turns wild with
Who
some
got
fangs
teeth. Bite him up.
and attacks him.
I wish that Wayne was just Link at this point. They need to axe the Wayne character and let Link grow.
Or use Wayne the way they did in the Muppet melodrama with Uncle Deadly, where he's just the dumb hero.
Right.
But I'm also totally okay with him being entirely replaced by Link Hogthrob.
Yeah.
Because they are essentially the same character.
And they wear the same clothes all the time, too.
Maybe they're best friends. They're just hanging out, sharing clothes. They're like, yeah, you know what, Wayne? You take this one.
Or they just go shopping together and they buy all the same outfits. But they don't even know they're buying the same outfits. And when they step out of the dressing room, they're like, hey.
Cue a little shopping montage of them with like a jump freeze frame high five at the end.
Another character that needs to be replaced. Freaking Gladys.
You don't like Gladys?
She in this one did not. She did not make me like her anymore. She was very cruel in this.
Yeah, to be fair, she is picking on Miss Piggy about her weight relentlessly, I would say.
Something that I feel like hasn't happened in a long time.
No,
really.
Not without just like. There was a couple like maybe passing things of just commenting on like costumes fitting or something like that. But this is Gladys saying like multiple back-to-back like weight jokes to Piggy about what she should be ordering from the canteen.
Very judgy. She's only getting away with it because she's an old lady and Miss Piggy can't bop her out.
Maybe before the end of the Gladys run on the Muppet Show, we'll see Miss Piggy lay her out.
Uppercut her head right off, and that's why she's not on the show anymore.
Yeah. They're like,
one of the seasons is about covering up the murder.
Yeah, it's like a Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, but with Gladys.
She kind of looks like that lady from that movie, doesn't she?
I could see a whole episode based around like a murder plot of like, so Miss Piggy accidentally actually murdered somebody finally with her karate chops. We cannot let this get out. We will be shut down. We will all lose our jobs. So does anyone know if Gladys had any family or friends? No? Great.
Surely not. She didn't have any friends for sure.
We did speculate before that she might be with the Swedish chef. Either in a romantic way or maybe just a friendship kind of way because they work together at the canteen. So, I mean, maybe he would ask some questions, but he's also very ready to like chop people up and murder.
Nobody would be able to
characters.
understand what he said, though. So he'd go to the police and be like, blah, 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 blah. And they'd be like, get out of here before we throw you in the slammer.
Maybe they could pin it on him.
Oh, that's perfect.
Like, hey, maybe the guy with all the knives and guns is the murder suspect.
Let's get rid of our 2 most annoying characters in one fell swoop.
I mean, you say that, Sam, but we do have that Marvin Suggs talk spot coming up later.
Okay, now wait a minute.
This moment in this episode with Gladys is interesting to note because Annie Sue and Piggy interact, and this is the first episode of season 3 that was produced, and it seems like Piggy and Annie Sue kind of know each other.
Yeah.
And then in the next episode in production order is the Leo Sayer episode where it seems like they don't know each other at all.
And Piggy calls Annie Sue Annabelle, which she will accidentally call... Not accidentally. That's like her passive-aggressive thing that she calls her in the next episode, too.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out if they had named her Annabelle to begin with, made this episode, thought maybe her name should be Annie Sue, then retconned it with that scene where she calls her Annabelle, or if who knows what the hell happened. I don't know how this would have happened otherwise.
Yeah, it's bizarre that in airing order and in production order, Annie Sue's introductions and rivalry with Piggy is all screwed up. We have a brief Muppet News Flash where some forks and stuff fall on Muppet News Flash man's head because
sick of this guy. I'm sick of this guy.
I am sick of it too, because I feel like there used to be more like variation to what would happen to him, or a character would run in or something, but now it's just things falling on his head.
It made more sense when the guest star would pop up in the little screen next to him, and
Which
he'd
we
do an
did not
interview with
like, by
them.
the way. We didn't like that either.
No, it made more sense, but it was still stupid.
We then have Piggy trying to convince Kermit that show business marriages can work. Unfortunately for Piggy, Rita Coolidge and Kris Kristofferson's marriage does not last much longer after this episode,
No.
so it's not the best example to hold up here.
She couldn't have known, though.
No, but it does not seem to truly convince Kermit.
I do feel like she's breaking him down, though. He doesn't say, like, I hate you anymore. He's just like, all right, whatever.
Yeah. I guess marriages can work, if you say
Yeah.
so.
He ran out of, like, he doesn't have a lot of other options, I think, so he's getting used to the idea.
Then we have Rita Coolidge, who sings her song, We're All Alone. Not much happens, I think, as you alluded to in your summary.
Yeah.
This episode overall is kind of a lackluster one, and the musical numbers follow suit.
This isn't the most confusing number we'll get with the forest animals, but it is the most boring one
Yes.
in this batch.
But then we have a UK spot, which is a little less boring. It features Rolf and Sam the Eagle performing A Frog He Woulda Wooing Go.
Yes, this one was blowing my mind the entire time.
Why is that?
Because the song they're singing is Froggy Went a Courtin', but it's in Old English. Because they talk about Miss Mousie and stuff. So I looked it up, and Froggy Went a Courtin', which I always think of as like a cowboy song almost. Or like, there's like that Tom and Jerry episode where his uncle comes and he's got a big mustache and a cowboy hat. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
And he just sings Froggy Went a Courtin'. That's like the whole thing his uncle does. Well, anyway, I just think of it as like a country song, but it was originally a song from Scotland called The Frog Came to My Door, and it was about Queen Mary of Scots and this French guy, the frog, offensively, like their courting situation, or like he wanted to marry her or something like that. So it started off as like a political commentary Scottish song, and then it turned into some British song. That's the one that they sing. Then America got their hands on it, and they were like, what if we made it even stupider? And that's that. So they're singing Froggy Went a Courtin', but like a what sounds like a parody British version of it, but this came first.
It's also worth noting that song would be covered by many, many people. Like, I think like Woody Guthrie did a version. I think Bob Dylan might have done a version.
Which one? A Frog He Would a Wooing Go?
No, like the Frog He Went a Courtin'.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that's sort of like why it got into like the folk music country side of things.
Sure.
Because I think Tex Ritter is also a man who sang that song, and I think he did sort of the most traditional sort of country version of it.
Mhm.
And so yeah, it worked its way into the country folky side of things as well, which makes sense for which was it, Tom or Jerry's uncle?
It was Jerry's uncle, Uncle Pecos.
Uncle Pecos. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Something I noted during this episode that is obviously rare for the Muppet Show and was weird and immediately noticed by me. We don't see two humans talking on this show very often, or
No.
maybe ever before.
No, because the only other multiple guests we've had was the mimes.
The Moominshans.
Yes.
So yeah, seeing two humans just have a casual conversation backstage was
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah, and for the conversation to just be like, this kind of sucks, huh?
Yeah. But it thankfully is saved by a delightful rock puppet that we get to see twice during this batch of
Yeah.
episodes. And also we get Gonzo coming in, and this is when he's revealing his master plan that he's more famous than ever now because a lot of people think he's dead now. And he hands his autographs out to Kris and Rita.
It's kind of like a really nice master plan because he's trying to make all his friends rich. There's really no, like, I get a cut of this stipulation.
That's true. I mean, I think as we also see in this batch, Gonzo is just, a delight at all
Yeah.
times. But I really, really liked his delivery on a lot of people think I'm dead now. Then we have the first of two repeated things that we see on this episode.
Yeah. Feels like something went wrong on this episode or something.
Yeah, like they had to cut things for time, or Kris and Rita didn't have a lot of time to stick around, or something happened because
They picked something from a whole damn year ago.
we see some of the Electric Mayhem singing New York State of Mind, which was from the Madeline Kahn episode in season 2.
It was a UK spot, wasn't it?
I think we commented on the fact that the UK spot was a very American song.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So that's like maybe smart, I guess, on their part to recycle stuff into. I wonder if we'll see that more often, to recycle UK spots into American versions. But then the British people would be like, hey, wait a minute. So I guess you're not really saving yourself that much work.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's probably to fill a gap where something went wrong or something had to be cut. Speaking of filling a gap, there's a brief chicken playing a song on the chimes, which that's about all that needs to be said about it.
Which I wrote down. We've already seen this before too, but then it was very slightly different. So we hadn't already seen it before.
Very slightly and not worth noting.
No.
And we also, again, have another repeated thing, which technically this is the first time it is being made. It was produced for this episode. It is the Rolf and Fozzie singing Hi Diddle Dee Dee, An Actor's Life for Me, which we talked about previously was a UK spot in the Pearl Bailey episode. So it aired earlier in a UK spot, but again, not in America. But it was produced for this episode. So yes, this is the first time they did it, but they used it again as a UK spot later on. Okay. It's still good. I still like it. It's just hard to, watch the same thing twice and try to give the credit to this episode, even though it was made for this episode. And the episode closes out with Kris and Rita singing a duet, song I'd like to sing, and it's fine.
To me, this was not fine. This was so lazy, I thought. Because the staging, they're in a bar, which is cool. It's a really cool set. But then it's just some of the big monsters are listening to them sing. And then the monsters get up and just do the most white people dancing. They're just and they wave their little arms around.
Yeah.
And then they just walk around them. And it's what? They didn't put any effort into it at all. And I feel like the lack of enthusiasm leaked over from Kristofferson into everyone else. That's just what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
The bar could have been filled with anything. The bar could have been filled with something that made a little bit more sense, or Rowdy Pigs, or they could have been at a Nashville bar or something. There could have been anything that they did besides what they did.
You could have had
a tropical
and the Jug
sounding.
Huggers.
Yeah, it's a tropical sounding song. So I don't know, get something, but it's just the monsters. And I already almost hate all the monsters anyway, so that didn't help. But
yeah, again, I think as you heard from our ratings at the beginning, not our favorite episode.
No, maybe my least favorite episode, because it doesn't even have the excuse of being an early season episode. They should know better at this point.
Well, yeah, and Kristofferson's performance just, as you said, seems like he hates the Muppets, but he also definitely does not take them seriously in any way.
No, all the still photos of him on Muppet Wiki are just the most fake smile. He does that smile in the first scene, and I'm like, oh gosh, this guy doesn't want to be here. He must have swallowed his pride to be in Blade, though, because he seemed like he was really having fun in Blade.
Yeah. Between this episode and the next episode on November 27th, 1978, is when the 10th season of Sesame Street premieres. And we will be discussing that soon in our Sesame Street The First 10 Years episode that we're going to be doing in March. But season 10 sees the premiere of Telly Monster and Bruno the Trash Man. And as we mentioned previously, this is also the season where Barkley gets his name. But then it is time for the Raquel Welch episode on November 30th, 1978. What'd you give this one, Sam, star-wise?
I gave this one, gosh, I don't know. This was a hard one. I gave it 3.5.
Wow.
I think I'm going to stick with it. There's a lot I liked, but then I just didn't feel too much of it I didn't have too many feelings coming out of it. What'd you give it?
I gave it 5 stars.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, this was one of my favorite episodes we have ever watched.
Just because you like Raquel Welch.
I mean, yes, because of this episode. I didn't know much about her before this episode, but she is great in this episode.
Yeah.
It's worth noting a couple things about Raquel Welch and the Muppets. As we mentioned previously, she was on SNL and interacted with some of them. But also, around this time, to promote this episode, she appeared on the cover of Us magazine with Kermit. And there's some interesting quotes. And there's an interesting quote in an interview with Jim Henson where he discussed that the Muppet Show audience, typically it was just sort of the workers, the other puppeteers hanging around. They're the people you usually hear laughing or responding, usually dubbed over with a laugh track, but some of them are the real people in the room. He said when they had Raquel Welch in the studio, we had a good 150 guys from neighboring studios. So apparently everyone else at the studios was like, hey, so can I come watch this episode?
Man, people loved Raquel Welch.
They really did. And we will also be talking about this episode a little bit more in the future because CBS was here during the filming of this episode to film a 60 Minutes special where they were visiting and showing off the behind the scenes of the Muppet Show. And that will air on March 17th, 1979. And so we'll be talking about that in a few episodes from now. But
So they were there when this episode was being filmed.
Right. And they showed the behind the scenes of some of the musical numbers being produced. And the last little note here about this episode, apparently Jim Henson wrote in his journal, having just had dinner last night with Raquel Welch seems a memorable sort of event one should make note of.
Mm-hmm. Keeping a lid on him, on that horniness there, Jim.
Yeah, he said, Dave and I, David Laser he's referring to, ate with she and her guy at Julie's in Holland Park. A lovely meal, and we came out of it liking her. A nice person.
She does seem really nice in this episode.
Her guy does not get a name, so I don't know who she was
yeah, Jim
saying
doesn't
at that
give
time.
a shit.
No, he didn't even speak to him the entire time they were at dinner, probably. But yeah, I expected a lot worse in the flirting, creepy behavior department with this episode.
It was kind of bad, but yes, you're right.
Well, and it opens up in just confirming my fears because Scooter comes in and she's reading some Shakespeare, Merchant of Venice, and everyone's suddenly worried that she's changing her image too much and she's not going to be sexy anymore because she likes Shakespeare.
She reads a book and has glasses on. Yuck.
Yes, and Scooter says that you don't have to dress up in this scantily clad, revealing costumes unless you really want to. And that's when, let's see, Quango, Dr. Teeth, Floyd Pepper, Gonzo, and Green Frackle all come in and say, "Oh, please, want to."
Do you think that they were like, who are the most lecherous looking Muppets, and that's how they picked who they had there?
I mean, yeah, I think so. Because if they had like Pepe at the time, I feel like he would have been right there with them. Because yeah, Dr. Teeth and Gonzo especially, and I feel like they keep tossing Quango into that batch as well.
Yeah,
I buy the fact that all of these Muppets are super creepy.
Gonzo's eyes get wider. I feel like that is indication of horniness level is how wide his eyes get.
That's we have a little gauge for each Muppet now. Like it's how much Kermit is squeaky, and then also how much Gonzo's eyes open.
Yeah, Miss Piggy's always at maximum horniness too, so there's no gauge needed for that one. But she's like business horny. She'll destroy you. She uses her horniness energy for lots of different endeavors. I gotta tell you, I had a negative reaction when I saw Bo pop up on screen during the intro.
Oh, same. I am grateful that is his only appearance in this batch of episodes. He shows up to be a dum-dum and drop a sandbag on his head during the opening number of this episode, but we don't have to see him otherwise, so that's good.
Bo is worse than Robin. He's not worse than Thog because he looks just like Thog, so they're the same. But Bo is maybe my new least favorite Muppet. Besides Thog, who's like cemented as number one.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially in a moment like this, it just feels like Bo is standing there waiting to pull a rope so that he can knowingly drop a sandbag on his head because he's like, look, get it? I'm dumb. It's funny.
He loves attention. I like how much of this you ascribe to Bo's like constant need for attention and some kind of sinister motive on his part.
I mean, he's looking down the barrel of the camera and pulls that rope. He knows what's going to happen.
True.
I have no doubt about it that Beauregard is like, guess what I'm going to do?
He's just got such a sinister energy when you talk about him.
I'm glad we finally can agree on a Muppet that we dislike. Most of the Muppets that we
said Bo would kill his whole family. So that's meaner than anything I've ever said about Thog, I think.
But then we get... I don't know what Sam's reaction to this would be. We get a giant spider Muppet.
Okay, so first of all, they dispense instantly with the changing her image thing. That was never a serious... that was never going to be the plot because she comes out dressed in like her 1 million BC like ripped up cave woman outfit. The spider, I thought could have been creepier. I was kind of disappointed he wasn't creepier.
He's an extremely impressive puppet, I guess you could say. Like he's a suit. Graham Fletcher, who is the man behind Fletcher Bird, also is the man behind the spider here. As the credits list, if you watch the end credits, say The Spider, danced by Graham Fletcher by kind permissions of the Royal Opera House.
Oh, that's weird. They loaned him out.
Yeah, apparently. But yes, I think you're right. It does not immediately read as a spider.
Yeah, that was my biggest problem with it. It was cool that he has all these fake legs, and it was cool how they made those, so it was really actually hard to tell which legs were his real legs. Very convincing other fake human legs on this spider. It's also cool that you can't really tell how he's hunched over, so that looks convincing in that. But it's very messy. The spiders doesn't quite work.
Yeah, this is one of those where, again, I'm not blaming any specific puppeteer or puppet builder. This was one of those where there's a sketch of this Muppet that you can see online, and it's a very rough sketch from Jim Henson. It basically is just like a lump with eyes, and it looks like they kind
all of them are.
Right. But this looks more like if Don Saline had seen this sketch, he'd go, okay, I kind of see what Jim's going for. I'll translate that into a good-looking puppet.
Yeah.
This was like,
Rest in peace,
oh, Jim wants a lump with eyes. We'll give him a lump with eyes.
Yeah.
But Graham Fletcher, I feel like, as you said, the legs are very convincing, and like he's really good at like making the other fake legs convincing. But they also have him on a wire so that he can fly around the set as this jumping spider who's climbing up a wall and then jumping halfway across the stage, and it's just all of it's very, very impressive.
So this number and the final number didn't work for me in like a very subtle way that I don't even know how you'd fix. There's just something that wasn't quite clicking, and that's why I knocked a few stars off of it.
Whereas I loved it. Something interesting about this number and about some of the other Raquel Welch numbers later is that two of the songs she performs are both from Diana Ross, and both off the same Diana Ross album that had come out like a year before this episode was made.
That's really weird.
Yeah, Baby It's Me and the one she sings with Fozzy, Confide in Me, are both off of the same Diana Ross album from a year prior, which is just kind of weird.
They could have got Diana Ross. Probably.
They do in season 4. Diana Ross will show up to host a guest on her own episode of The Muppet Show. But yeah, it's strange that Raquel Welch was just like, I'm going to take two of this lady's songs to sing. But then we have the moment where we get to see Fozzy becoming more confident through group therapy. I think part of what lifts this episode up so much for me is that, aside from Kermit, I feel like each of our main characters has really, really high standout moments. And this Fozzy bit, where he is becoming more confident and more assertive, works incredibly well.
Yeah.
And falls apart exactly how you would expect.
Yeah. He folds like a cheap lawn chair.
He folds immediately when he thinks people actually love him for who he was already, which is not what they are cheering later on. They are cheering the fact that he is not going to be performing. And he's like, oh, they love me? Yeah. I love attention. Here I come.
He has accurately he's accurately figured out that he has huge personality issues that make people hate him. So he's got that going for him.
Yeah, he's trying to work on that.
Yeah.
And then we get to see one of my favorite things that I've ever seen on The Muppets.
That, in retrospect, that doesn't surprise me now that I think about it. This does seem like a great Matt thing.
We have Gonzo performing in his little attic dressing room that he has.
Is that a dressing room?
I mean, his costumes are all hanging up on a laundry line.
Yeah. I thought it was maybe his apartment. And I was going to ask you if you thought that was... Because I think there's a part where Scooter is in his little, he's in a room and Robin's in a room. And I was going to ask you if you think, is that an accurate depiction of their apartment? Have they come with sketches and said, would you rebuild my apartment exactly? Can we assume that this is where Gonzo goes at night? Because there's a bed. I think there's a bed, right?
Maybe he lives in the theater.
That could be.
Maybe he just lives above the theater. I feel like maybe they all do. All
I was gonna say, yeah.
It's just one large building.
That work for the rent deal worked out or something, or it's just like a foreclosed building and they're getting squatters' rights or something. They're making improvements to the building and.
Yeah, it's like we can't ever leave this building or they will tear it down. So we have to live here. We have to work here. We have to stay in this building at all times.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
there has to be at least one Muppet inside at all times.
Yeah. That's why in the 2011 movie you find Beauregard in the closet. Otherwise, they would have just torn it down.
He's keeping their dibs on it. You're right.
But yes, Gonzo performs a song called Jamboree, which is a nice mixture of joyful and sad. We get to see Gonzo's full range of personality coming out here. And this song was co-written by Frank Oz. This is the second of 2 songs that we have seen written by Frank Oz. And I think it's a shame that he has only written 2 songs for The Muppet Show.
Yeah, because it and the rhyming song are both huge standouts.
Yeah, and I don't.
He must have just had 2 in him, though.
I guess so. He's like, I got 2 great songs. That's all you're getting, Jim. But yes, I love this. I love I always love a sad Gonzo moment because he gets to be the most, I think, human Muppet at times and reflect on his feelings. And
it is weird how much more of a human he is than literally every other Muppet. I don't know how that happened, but he is just so well-rounded compared to everyone else that it's almost hard to put your finger on who he what his thing is, especially nowadays when he's been around for so long. You just get what he is, but it's also he's very complicated. He's not just a daredevil anymore.
Right, and I think especially these days, not surprisingly, Gonzo feels like a bit of an old man because he is performed by an old man.
Yeah.
No offense to Dave
slowed
Goles,
down
but
a bit.
when you've had the same performer for 50 years and your performer is 75 years old, you get some old man energy coming out of Gonzo these days. And so
he's really introspective and just slower.
Yeah, but it's also interesting that he's started out that way too. Gonzo has always sort of been that very introspective character, and that's what I like about him. We then get the At the Dance mashup that Sam alluded to earlier, where Fozzie is invading and at the dance to try and crack the jokes instead of the dancers. And this will be the last production appearance of Fleet Scribbler.
Oh, is he even being Fleet Scribbler in this?
It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah.
He doesn't really, act like a journalist at all, but he doesn't look any different. So I'm assuming he's Fleet
same
Scribbler.
Clothes on and stuff. He got a job with the Muppets at some point, I guess.
Yeah, and I think in the next batch of episodes, we will actually have a reference to Fleet Scribbler, but I don't know that we see him. And then we get the UK spot in this episode, which is Kermit doing a talk spot, which I did not expect to see ever again.
And I was like, Matt, you liar. There were more talk spots.
But in actuality, it's not a real talk spot because this one is with monstrosity Marvin Suggs.
He is a monstrosity, and he looks so bad too. I feel like he didn't look bad the first time.
I feel like he's been sleeping under the floorboards of the theater since the last time he appeared, just constantly being like, can you use me tonight? And they're like, no Marvin, stay down there.
That's another weird thing about this, that he hasn't been on for so long. And it's not like you can watch tapes of season 1 or whenever he was on. So you might watch this and be like, I have no idea who this guy is. And they don't explain that he hits the Muppaphones and they sing or anything. They're just like, here's this weirdo. He's got a stick and he hits these little guys. So I would imagine half the audience would be like, I don't know. I missed this episode and there's literally no way for me to watch it.
Yeah, and we will see him a couple more times here in season 3, but we've only previously seen him twice. Once in the first season, in the very first Rita Moreno episode, and then in the Steve Martin episode. So this is for.
And he's not even doing the Muppaphone thing, I don't think, in the Steve Martin episode.
I think he's
he's
there.
Playing fruit.
Yeah, that's right. But then for Kermit to start this new segment, which is an exciting segment, and I hope we get maybe more of these types of things.
I think it's a great use for a UK spot, especially to get to know more about these freaks.
Yeah, but this one he's chosen a Muppet who has barely appeared on the Muppet Show.
Yeah, and he's one of everyone's favorite Muppets. You liar. He is not.
He is no one's favorite Muppet.
No. He has got the perfect energy in this, and he's even more like the Music Man from Sacklunch Bunch than ever.
Yeah.
And his hair is just creepy and puby almost, wispy, horrible, and he's got sacks under his eyes. And it's almost like a modern parody of the Muppets or something. Something that if you saw it, what was that MTV show Wonder Shows in? Do you know that show?
Yeah.
It's if you saw it on Wonder Shows and you'd be like, this is a little hacky, but you're seeing it on the Muppets and you're like, this is just weird for the Muppets for sure.
Yeah, he might be the most threatening Muppet as far as you wouldn't want to say the wrong thing to him because he will just bop you with one of those, his mallets.
And this is, I feel one of the first times that they've ever acknowledged that the violence that they perpetrate on each other could have effects.
He divulges that the Muppaphones are replaced every 2 to 3 months because when he beats them on the head, they become flat.
And then you don't want to know what happens to him after that.
No. So I'm guessing, a shredder, maybe? I'm not really sure what's happening to them.
He eats them.
Oh, no.
He eats them.
I hadn't even considered that. He just alludes to the fact that, essentially they die somehow. But it's not he beat them to death with his mallets. It's that he has no more use for them, so he offs them. I feel bad for those Muppaphones.
Yeah, and then Kermit even talks to them and doesn't even offer to help them at all. He knows their plight.
And he's just seeing them as a prop. He's as
Yeah.
bad as Marvin Suggs.
He just cares about the act. He doesn't care about who it hurts in the process.
Mm.
But yeah, this was amazing, and I'd love to see more of these kind of things.
Yeah, Kermit interviewing his coworkers, his employees, to be like,
Yeah.
so what's your deal? Then we get the sexational moment between Raquel Welch and Fozzie, where she is singing to him, rubbing his head into her chest,
Mhm.
and propositioning him to come up to her dressing room.
Yep, for sex.
Definitely for
And-
sex. And we get a nice little Swedish chef moment where he's preparing chicken in a basket, where he ends up playing basketball with the chicken.
This was a good little one. It was nice and short, and sometimes I get sick of the Swedish Chef, but this time the basketball, like the bouncing of the chicken was very well done, and they had a concept and they just did it. They didn't get too fancy with it.
The dribbling, puppeteering, and everything is just fantastic throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Then leading into the final number, we have Raquel Welch and Piggy talking backstage about the burden of being an international sex goddess. And that's when Piggy finds out that Raquel is going to be doing a solo number. But thankfully, she gets a sneak peek of her costume for the number and somehow immediately replicates it.
She goes and finds Hilda. Piggy's got her locked up in her dressing room, cranking out costumes for her.
She's living under the floorboards with Marvin Suggs.
Yeah. And she uses the Muppaphones to make Piggy's costumes.
Like little
That's what
sewing
it is.
machines.
She's spinning their fur into fabric. All of Miss Piggy's clothes are the most cruelty-intensive Muppaphone materials. That's all.
So
of
that's
them
what he's
are.
alluding to when he says, you don't want to know what happens to them after I
Yeah.
don't have use for them anymore. It's that Hilda is taking them and skinning them.
Yeah, and if I tell you, not only will Piggy kill me, but she will kill all of us.
Miss Piggy can't have that sort of press. She can't be
Mm-mm.
exposed for her cruel ways that her costumes are made. But much like Sam the Eagle, Miss Piggy is exposed as a fraud in this moment because it turns out she doesn't know any French. She knows how to say vous and moi.
That was
But
so
the moment
good.
Raquel Welch speaks French to her, she's like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
What Raquel Welch says in that moment, by the way, is she says, you're very nice to me when she's speaking French. But just further cementing that all of the Muppets are a little bit of frauds in their own way. We have the final number, which is I'm a Woman, where Raquel Welch and Miss Piggy sing a delightful duet.
I just didn't like this song. That was my main problem. It's a
It-
little awkward.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard this song, or there's a similar song to it,
Yeah.
which is like the WOMAN thing.
Uh-huh.
Maybe orchestrated or staged in a different way. But there's something
Yeah.
about the way it's done here where it's like WOMAN. And that's like weird and like causes them to go out of sync a few times that I can understand
Yeah.
that feeling.
They
coming out
have
of
trouble.
this.
They have trouble keeping up with each other or something, or like Piggy keeps throwing out one-liners at the wrong time or something like that, and it's kind of like that, like awkward jazz, like cringy jazz, I guess. That I don't. They're just like, this is a great duo, and I feel like they could have sang a song that fit them a little bit better. The more we talk about it, the more this was like a Frank Oz extravaganza episode.
Mm-hmm.
All of the plots were about Frank Oz characters.
It's all Frank
All
Oz
of-
hanging out with Raquel Welch.
Yeah, all of the funny lines were Frank Oz lines. Good for him. And then when it's over, that's when Kermit is like standing far away from her, admiring Raquel Welch and like shivering, can barely contain his horniness. And his jealousy of Fozzie, I'd imagine, too.
Yeah, he's like, the frickin' bear gets to go up to the dressing room.
I'm the boss.
Yeah. Haven't you seen how creepy I can be with the sexy
Yeah.
ladies around here? That's what I do.
I'll show you next episode how creepy I can be.
Before we actually get to that next episode, though, between this episode and the next episode is when Christmas Eve on Sesame Street aired on December 3rd, 1978, which, again, we talked about back in episode 38, so you can go listen to us talk about that if you want. But then on December 7th, 1978, is the Leo Sayer episode of The Muppet Show. Sam, what would you star rate this episode?
I didn't even star rate this one. I was so disgusted by it. Let me look at it again. I would give this one a 1.5. I would give this one a 2 stars.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am shocked. To be fair, I am less shocked after hearing your summary of it earlier. But in watching it, I thought you would really enjoy this one.
Why?
Because there's a lot of enjoyable stuff in this one, aside from Leo Sayer. And I even think some of the Leo Sayer stuff, if you ignore him specifically, is great.
I don't think I liked the subplot in this one. I think it just skeezed me out too much. I just got like Kermit's vibe towards Annie Sue was like not fun for me.
That's fair. It is a weird thing where they refer to her multiple times as being very young and just a kid, and then
Yeah.
he kisses her.
And it's clear, like, the subtext of Kermit's intentions are, like, exploitative, I feel like. He can't kiss her. Like, he doesn't kiss anybody.
She
can't
kisses
kiss
him
her.
first, but
That-
he should
people
not kiss her
him-
back.
But people kiss him all the time. He should be used to that. And knowing that, like, I am the producer of this show, I cannot comport myself in this way.
Yes, his employee kissing him is one thing, but him then going, oh, okay, so it's cool if I kiss my employee.
Yeah.
Nope, sorry, Kermit.
This is a new low for Kermit.
It is maybe the skeeziest Kermit we've seen. But the episode opens with some immediately bad acting from Leo Sayer. He actually knocks over a prop, and they didn't even bother reshooting it. But he says it's so quiet in here you could almost hear a pin drop, and that's when some bowling pins fall on his head.
I didn't notice he knocked something over.
There's like a bunch of bottles, like perfume-type bottles on his desk that
yes,
he's performing in front of. And when he moves his hands when delivering his line, he just knocks one over immediately. And
What
they
a
didn't,
goober.
like, it wasn't part of the sketch. He just knocked it
They're
over.
probably just like, let's get this kid out of here. Come on.
And then during the opening number, we don't often talk about the Gonzo bits because they're pretty straightforward. But this one, Gonzo blows his trumpet, and what appears to be a bunch of white confetti shoots out of it. And then after that, he goes, my teeth!
Yeah, what the fuck was that all about? That's what his teeth look like?
I mean,
or were they shredded up in the process of going through the trumpet?
I think that's just all of his teeth coming out at one time.
He's got so many teeth.
His teeth
but
that we've
they're
never
so
seen
small.
before.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I don't think I mentioned in my notes, I did give this, I put 3 to 4 stars. But we
You
have...
can't do that. That's not fair, but
What's not fair?
to put 3 to 4?
Yeah, that's fine. I couldn't
Okay,
land on a
whatever.
certain thing. There were certain things in this episode where I was like, this is definitely a 4-star episode. This is great.
It's against the spirit of the experiment, but that's fine.
I don't even know what the experiment's trying to prove here, Sam.
I can't remember either.
Then we have, perplexingly, Kermit refers to Leo Sayer as a rock musician.
Yeah. Very insulting.
Which he's like a pop, disco,
He's a disco guy.
funk
Yeah.
guy, kind of musician, if I had to put him in a box.
Yeah.
And maybe this was only done because it lets the rock puppet make another appearance.
And they didn't have a rock act coming on ever, so they were like, "Oh, we got to use it now." I guess.
Yeah, they're like, Alice Cooper, pa. Why would we use this
yeah,
for
I
him?
forgot about that. Yeah. Then it goes downhill instantly.
What?
With those bird dancers, I hate those guys.
This is one of the best things.
No, this is such a mishmash. It's so sloppy, I think.
Oh, I put in my notes, we judged Fletcher Bird too early.
Oh, I hated Fletcher Bird in this.
Fletcher Bird is so good. I also put in my notes, Fletcher Bird should be a star.
I didn't want to see any more of this.
This may be the biggest disagreement we've ever had in Commitment.
At least they should have made the Electric should have replaced the Electric Mayhem with birds. It just felt so sloppy that there was 3 different styles of puppets basically entirely. Maybe Fletcher Bird and the Electric Mayhem match a little bit, but you got to either go through with the bird theme entirely because there's birds in the audience and birds dancing, make your band birds, or not have those bird dancers or something like that.
I don't know. I am Team Fletcher Bird. I think Fletcher Bird is a great design, super goofy looking, and just all around great. The performance is great. The dancing.
Do you like the bird dancers?
I don't dislike them as much as I liked them previously.
Yeah, okay.
I think last time they were much creepier and sort of distracting when they were with Liberace. I think in this episode, I agree that like obviously the styles don't match. They are a little haunting, but Fletcher Bird is a good enough distraction during this You Make Me Feel Like Dancing number that I feel like I am happy with this overall sketch.
I don't like this song either. Do you like this song, don't you?
It's very catchy. I don't have any distaste for this song. I don't know. We'll have to see what the audience thinks if they're Team Fletcher Bird or Team Sam. I'm not sure what the other team is in this scenario. Then we get the beginning of the Annie Sue plotline being introduced here, where apparently we're not supposed to know Annie Sue yet, because Kermit is just saying he hired a new girl singer named Annie Sue, and Miss Piggy's concerned that she might be threatened, but is not so worried when she thinks she might be a frog or a bear or something like that. But when she finds out she's a pig, oh boy, is Miss Piggy threatened.
No good. Shouldn't be too surprised. There's a billion pigs on the show, but still.
And then Annie Sue gets to sing Carbon Paper, this surprisingly not a UK spot number. It feels very UK spotty, but obviously it needs to be part of the plot, so it's not.
Yeah, it's kind of low effort a little bit or something.
Yeah, the tap dancing is not quite as convincing as it was when Kermit did his Happy Feet number.
Well, it's hilarious when Kermit does it because he's like, he talks it up so much about how good at tap dancing he is.
True. But
This just
yeah,
happens.
this is...
You don't even notice she's tap dancing, I feel like, for a long time.
No. It's fine. It's as I said earlier, this is when Frank Oz is performing Annie Sue instead of Louise Gold. But
Yeah. I feel like it would have worked better if she had done like a big blowout Miss Piggy style number.
yeah, if she had come in and done like a sexy woman number like Miss Piggy might do to show that she is an actual threat to this sort of like diva status that Miss Piggy holds on the show,
Yeah.
I feel like that would be more in line with actually threatening Miss Piggy's place.
Or if she had clearly been terrible, but she was really hot and everybody was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Both of those would have worked better than I'm not sure what exactly we were supposed to take away from this.
Right, and Miss Piggy being the only one who can see through the facade of like,
Yeah.
guys, she's awful.
Terrible. Yeah.
But Kermit makes it up to Piggy by letting her recite William Wordsworth's The Daffodils on stage.
Which for some reason she's always wanted to do.
Apparently. But Rolf is there to accompany her on the piano. But it's a little confusing to me exactly what happens next, because Miss Piggy says that someone must have put sneezing powder in the flowers. I first read it as they were just all allergic to the flowers, because
Yeah.
Rolf starts sneezing and Miss Piggy starts sneezing, and then the audience sneezes so strongly all at once that Piggy is blown off the stage.
Yeah, that didn't register with me that she says the sneezing powder thing later, because it very clearly just reads as the pollen. Is she just being stupid?
I don't know, because I think she's trying to blame Annie Sue for maybe like sabotaging her performance, but it does not come across very clearly, and I don't. There's no follow up to it, so I don't really know if that is what we're supposed to assume happened, or if that's just what Piggy thinks happened. This also had throughout the episodes, there's a couple shots of the audience again that are like newer shots, like reaction shots of the audience, which we talked about earlier are composite shots because they don't have 80 Muppet performers all at once to be performing, so they just have it be composited. And you can tell in these specifically, there is, if you like look right in the middle, unfortunately, you can see the overlap where like some Muppets' heads are just sort of fading off. Or there's like half a Muppet, and then there's like an empty
arm
seat.
Goes out and disappears.
Yeah, so there's obviously not meant for an HD TV to be watched at like 65 inches or whatever like that. Like this is meant for
and be able to like pause it and be like,
But then I guess we're getting a number that Sam hates. This is the Twin Peaksy reference that Sam made earlier.
Much.
We get Leo Sayer again with his mystifying voice that I don't understand how it comes out of that man. He is singing a song called "The Show Must Go On," just kind of chilling on the stage with Animal playing drums and Bobby Benson on banjo for some reason.
Who's Bobby Benson? Is he the baby guy?
Yeah, he will eventually be like the manager for the babies in future episodes. Right now, he's just a weird hanging out banjo playing man who I was like, not even sure it was Bobby Benson at first, but Muppet Wiki says it is.
He hasn't found a bunch of babies somehow yet.
Yeah. He's got to track them down in the Loretta Lynn episode and be like, hey, babies, you need a manager.
So he's singing the song, but then partway through, he like looks off to the side in terror, and then himself with like mime makeup shambles out from backstage and does a little dance. I can't remember what he does.
He does a little dance while he's also like scatting.
And it feels so much like the set's creepy, and it feels so much like something that would happen just offhanded in an episode of Twin Peaks. And they'd be like, well, that was weird. I guess we can't explain that. There's my doppelganger.
Yeah, the clown makeup mime stuff is creepy and weirdly done. I don't think it's incredibly good miming by any means.
Oh, yeah, that too. He sucks at miming.
I don't know if that was just like when they ask a guest, what would you like to do on the Muppet Show? He was like, I'd like to become a mime. It's always been my dream.
It did feel like they asked him what he wanted to do in this show. And he was like, I want to be on a tree for some reason. I want to dance with a bunch of birds for some reason. It just all feels like he was too excited and had really bad ideas.
Yeah, like he didn't say he wanted to hang out with Piggy or Kermit or Fozzie. He was like, I want to do the weirdest shit possible. And then we get what I think is Leo Sayer's low point in his acting ability.
Career.
where Dr. Teeth shows up to hang out with Leo because apparently they're both cool guys.
Oh, when they high-fived, I was like, Dr. Teeth hates this guy. There's no way.
Dr. Teeth has his super long arms on during this too, so he's like 6 feet away from Leo Sayer when he high-fives him. Leo Sayer says he'd like to meet Animal, which is strange because he just performed with Animal. But he is told to stand behind a line because that's as far as Animal's chain can reach. And he does a very bad reaction shot where he's like biting his nails, but then tearing his hair out and then freaking out. And like he does all like, if you try to think of, okay, somebody tells me to act like I am scared or freaking out, you might have like 3 or 4 different ideas of what that means, whether it's biting your nails, pulling your hair, jumping, and you might choose one of those things to do. But what he does them very quickly in succession, in a way that no human would ever react to anything ever.
That's how he does. That's what he does every time he does anything. He moves every part of his body as much as possible, and he makes a funny face. And this is a funny gag too, and he totally fucks it up.
Yeah, it's not well done. I will say Leo Sayer is still out there performing. If you go look him up, he's still got that same hair. And if you
don't listen to this episode, Leo.
If you look him up, he still sounds great. Like I saw a video of him singing "You Make Me Feel Like Dancing" and the later song that he sings "When I Need You," where he sounds exactly like he did back here on the Muppet Show. And then we get the moment backstage where Kermit kisses Annie Sue.
It's a damning moment in the Muppet history.
Well, it even seems like he's unsure whether or not he should be doing this. Like when he goes to do it, it's a very like hesitant sort of like, I'm going to kiss you now. Piggy sees this, and this is when she does her wrestling move off the top rope balcony and just crushes Kermit.
And who could blame her?
This is followed up by Leo Sayer wanting to be in a tree, as Sam alluded to earlier, where he's just hanging out in a tree for a while, but then a bear and a bunch of other forest animals, including a beaver, decide to try and murder him.
To collaborate to kill him.
Yeah, they want to kill Leo Sayer, which they don't end up doing, but they do end up knocking his tree down. And then just kind of join the song with him.
Why is he in a tree, Matt?
Great question. I think he's like looking for his love. That's kind of the way I interpreted it. Was like he's up in this tree trying to get a better vision on like, hey, where'd my love go? This is one of those where I'm just like, yeah, they had a set. They wanted to use it. They had some bear puppets. They wanted to use those. And this is what they did.
It also looks so uncomfortable to be in that tree. His foot is twisted in such an unpleasant looking way.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's a fun time. The falling is convincing, though. Like
the falling is convincing, and I thought it looks like he destroyed his nuts when he fell on the tree.
But yeah, I did at first had that same reaction where I was like, what's going on here? And then a fox like stands up and starts to duet with him. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is good, actually. I also like the animals plotting where the bear's trying to knock the tree over. And then he just like points to the beaver and he's like, you, chew the tree. And
What's the beaver have to gain from this arrangement? He just loves chaos.
But the episode ends and we get to see Leo Sayer with his suspenders again, which we talked about in the One Step into Spring Julie
He did
Andrews.
a whole suspenders dance, and he does some great suspender work here, too.
Yeah, it's a little distracting. He's clearly like, hey, don't forget, I'm the suspender
I'm the
man.
suspenders guy. You remember me, the suspenders guy.
But yeah, I think overall I really enjoyed this episode. To be fair, I enjoyed it more on my second watch than I did on my first watch. On a first watch, I was kind of in the same boat as you, where I didn't like Leo Sayer so much that I was like, yeah, episode kind of is a failure. But then the second watch through, I was able to appreciate the moments more of again, things that you didn't like necessarily, but the Fletcher bird and the forest animals stood out to me as things that I don't know. I enjoyed it.
We're just different guys. But I am delighted by the Gonzo blowing all of his weird teeth out the trumpet. That's pretty good. I thought this batch sucked, personally. Raquel Welch was really great. But overall, this was one of my more unpleasant viewing experiences.
Wow. That's I had such a good time with Raquel Welch and Leo Sayer. That to me, I was like, this is pretty good, if not for Kris Kristofferson and Rita Coolidge. Like, they definitely brought down the average.
I think Kris Kristofferson put me in a bad mood because he just was so mean to the Muppets.
And the last thing I will say about this timeline here that we're in is that the day after the Leo Sayer episode aired is when a special Sesame Street Christmas aired on TV on December 8th, 1978.
The bad one.
That's the bad one. That's the one that you should not watch. We would not recommend it. But now it's time to talk about our Muppet of the Week. This week's Muppet of the Week is Annie Sue. She is the younger, permed pig singer on the show that we've been talking about all episode. We've seen Annie Sue in a number of episodes previously. She was in the background for a few episodes in season 2, which makes it even weirder that she's just being introduced in this batch of episodes.
Yeah. I guess it's like when you're on Saturday Night Live and it's like featuring Annie Sue, and you're not like a headline player yet. You
right.
know? They just say your name really fast at the end.
Yeah, they're like, and these 5 people.
So no one's paying attention to you yet.
Yeah, but her actual on-screen debut was in the Elton John episode. She's a background character in that one. I think she's wearing a pink wig instead of her normal curly hair in that one. And at least according to Muppet Wiki, it seems like we've seen most of what we're going to see from Annie Sue.
Oh.
Her star burned bright and briefly. Apparently, she does pop up throughout more of the series, but as far as like being featured in a storyline goes, Muppet Wiki put it, after this, Annie Sue's star fell rapidly. So, yeah, she will feature in some more spots throughout the next couple seasons of The Muppet Show, but she will not have as big of a role as she does in these last few episodes that we've been watching.
She's in Muppets Most Wanted.
She is, yeah. It's worth noting that Louise Gold is obviously the main performer of Annie Sue, aside from the Frank Oz cameo that we got in this batch of episodes. But Annie Sue was specially designed for Louise Gold to puppeteer. And so Louise Gold has also been the only main puppeteer for Annie Sue forever.
Wow.
We've talked before about how Dave Goelz is usually the only person who can have that claim to fame of being the only puppeteer for a puppet for its entire lifespan. But so far, Louise Gold has been Annie Sue every time she has popped up, including in Muppets Most Wanted. And Louise Gold is also still puppeteering. She recently worked on The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance for Netflix. So she's still working with the Henson Company on things. Louise Gold also performed Annie Sue at the tribute to Jim Henson, the memorial. And you can see Annie Sue pop up in Muppets Tonight as well. So we'll keep seeing Annie Sue pop up from now, like every now and then. But will not have as big of a role as we have already seen. There's not a lot of facts about Annie Sue out there because we have discussed most of what she does on The Muppet Show already. But she is one of the very few right-handed characters on The Muppets because most Muppets are performed by a right-handed puppeteer. And so when they have to use an arm rod, they are controlling the Muppet's left hand. And so most Muppets appear to be left-handed primarily because the right hand is not being used that way. But unfortunately, that is about it as far as what there is to talk about with Annie Sue. Again, we've seen everything she's pretty much going to do on the show. So do you have a rating in mind for Annie Sue, Sam? You've already kind of shown your cards that you don't like her.
I think my biggest problem, I just don't like the design of her puppet. I think her bottom lip is too big. I think her eyes are too big. I think she moves awkwardly in a way that kind of reminds me of how Gonzo moved in the Muppet Haunted Mansion. She seems like not as well made as Miss Piggy in like a very obvious way. So when they're next to each other, it's just weird. She's like Uncanny Valley almost compared to Miss Piggy. I don't mind her in theory because I think it's fun for Miss Piggy to have a foil. I think Link works better as her foil. And I think Annie Sue's plot lines introduce too much creepiness from Kermit. So I'm going to give her 2.5 stars.
I'm rating her a little higher. I think I like her as a character slightly more than you do. And I don't mind her look as much because to me it feels like they're going for what a young, cool person in 1978 might look like.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's true.
So, yeah, I'm going to give Annie Sue 46 out of 60. Not great, not bad. She's there.
Kind of. She's not really there that much.
No, she's been here. And before we go, I need to check in, Sam, to see if you've been enjoying any non-Muppet stuff this week.
Yeah, I burned through the whole 3rd season of Joe Pera Talks With You, which is an Adult Swim show about like a nice little man. It's not a cartoon. It's like about a nice little man who lives in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And he has lots of hobbies and a nice little girlfriend. And he lives this little happy life. And it's very soothing. It's like a very soothing show, I think, is kind of its main purpose. But it's also super funny. And there's an episode where they talk pretty extensively about Muppets.
Oh.
Not very extensively. They talk about ventriloquism. And the characters start to wonder why ventriloquism is a right-wing thing nowadays. Like, why so many ventriloquists are conservative comedians.
To me, it feels like it's very easy to hide behind a puppet and say things with a puppet that you might believe, but might get in trouble for saying.
It was like ventriloquism is a throwback these days. So modern puppetry is Muppet stuff. But if you want to be like, remember back Edgar Bergen, or remember back in the day when TV was TV and people were good and American, it's like ventriloquism. I also watched The Tragedy of Macbeth, which is the adaptation of Macbeth by one of the Coen brothers. I don't remember which one.
Joel, I think.
Joel. There's Joel and Ethan. Is that their names?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it was Joel. Did you watch that?
Not yet. It is obviously on our to-do list because Devin likes Shakespeare things. We will be watching that. We have not watched it yet.
I fell asleep, but
solid review.
Apparently it was good. It's just a straight up adaptation. There's some really cool stuff done with the sets. And some of the sword fighting is really cool. It's just like a Shakespeare thing. And I was trying so hard, but I was like, I don't know what the fuck they're saying. So good night. How about you?
Yeah, a few things this week. I finished, finally, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on the PS5.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
It's so fun. It's like not like one of the best video games ever made, but it's very fun. It's not that long, and it looks amazing. So overall, it's just a great time. Like I think it's like the best looking game they've put out for the PS5 so far. There's just moments where it looks like it's a cutscene, or it looks like something you would not imagine you could see on like a game console. And it's real in-game engine stuff that you're playing and walking through, and you're just like, whoa. Like you just like stare at the background.
That's such a huge advantage of cartoonier games, is like they age so much better, and you can make them look so, because you're not like, it's not like Red Dead Redemption or something where you're like, that mountain 10 years ago that mountain looked amazing. Today I can see every polygon and it looks like shit.
Yeah, it's like going back and looking at Crash Bandicoot versus like Resident Evil on the PlayStation, where you're like, oh, Crash Bandicoot still looks fun, and it's fine that he looks like crap, but then you see Resident Evil, you're like, that's not a human.
I love an old, like, it especially happens in Grand Theft Auto games from PS2 time, when they would like point at people, but they only had like the solid hand, and they'd be
the
like,
big
hey,
blocky hand.
Get out of my neighborhood, and they were like jabbing with their entire hand.
It's always, I love the comparison when people show off early Lara Croft, when people are like, this was the sexiest video game character. Everyone was in love with this character, and she just has pyramid boobs.
Yeah, 2 triangles stuck to the front of her chest.
Yeah.
And everybody was trying to find the code to make her naked. Because then it would be peach colored triangles with like red dots on the end, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then you could masturbate.
I don't even think that was a real thing either. I think that was a...
Oh, it wasn't?
No.
At all.
But yes, Ratchet and Clank, as far as I know, no nudity in that one. The robots don't wear clothes, so maybe they're naked. But yes, very good game, very pretty. Looks like a Pixar movie, like for half the time, and then just you get to play it though. But I also we powered through the entire season of Queer Eye, the new season that came out on Netflix. Which, you know, joyful as always. The first episode's weird and not good, and the person they're helping is not great. So I was like, the season's going to be bad. But then everyone else is very nice and is very welcoming to them. But for some reason, the first episode they chose to put in order in this season, it's a woman who just doesn't want their help, like, at all. And, you know, they help her out a little bit, but there's just a lot of resistance. And, you know, you watch that show because you want to see somebody who's really trying their best, who's maybe struggling because their business is, like, hard to keep going during COVID or whatever like that, and you want to see them come in and help them out, make their business better, help make them better, all these things. This woman was just like, I'm good, actually. You don't need to do anything for me.
Are you going to buy the Queer Eye Lego set?
I don't know. I like the figures themselves are very good, but like I don't really need a Lego loft. Like I don't care about having their loft on display. So I might go on like Bricklink or something and buy the individual figures because those are nice, like they're very well designed figures, but I don't really care about the loft, and it's a lot of money to spend on a Lego set that I don't really want the whole thing of. Speaking of that, we didn't even talk about this. The leaks are coming out, Sam, for Muppet Legos.
They are?
Yeah. There's only been one small photo shown of like a package, but it does seem like they are going to be collectible minifigures in the blind bags where you have to buy them and hope for the best.
Or you can go on Bricklink and just buy a whole set.
That too. But yeah, the Muppet Legos are coming.
Yeah. There's the bag.
They look exactly how you would imagine Muppet Legos to look. There is no surprises. So next week, guess what we're watching, Sam?
Are we watching more Muppet Show?
Surprise, surprise, we're watching some more Muppet Show.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we are going to be meeting Sir New Zealand as we move into a brand new year of Muppet material, the year of 1979, as we watch the next 3 episodes of The Muppet Show Season 3 that aired between December 14th, 1978 and January 18th, 1979. And those are the episodes featuring guests Gilda Radner, Marissa Berenson, and Spike Milligan. And before we go, we need to thank our friend Tuna for creating the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. You can follow this podcast on Twitter at CommitmentPod, where you can find the playlists or just us talking about the things we are going to watch for each episode. And you can go to commitment.com to check out episodes there, or also to buy our Commitment logo pin, which went on sale last week. So, there's a potential for it to be sold out by now if you're just listening to this episode. But if not, go buy our pin at commitment.com.
Before it's too late.
Yeah.
We broke the mold after we made it. There'll never be more.
Never. That's not true. We'll definitely make as many as you're willing to buy. But if you want to contact us with anything longer than a tweet, you can email us at mail@commitment.com. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.